You might be in a job right now that you're really good at, but you don't really fully enjoy. You might even take on extra projects and extra things in order to prove yourself, get the external validation that you're doing a good job, and hopefully, of course, the next promotion. And in this whole process, you might also be feeling really burned out and overwhelmed because at the end of the day, the thing that you're doing is just not as connected to you and to your mission and to your passion as you would like it to be. So in today's video, I want to talk with you about a super important question. And the question is, how can you find what you're really passionate about? So I would say, let's jump into the video. Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Julia Arndt and I'm a peak performance coach and stress management trainer, and I am really excited to talk with you about this really important question. As you can see, I am sitting in a new office and it is not fully ready yet for recordings, but we're not taking a break from recordings. We are here and we're talking about important things, and I'm super excited to talk with you today about how to find what you're really passionate about. You might have experienced this before, or you might be experiencing it right now, but the thing that you're doing, for example, at work at the moment is just not really igniting your fire. And you might have always asked yourself the question, but what am I really, really passionate about? What do I really like to do? And maybe you're feeling so stressed and so overwhelmed and busy and overworked and burned out that you don't really feel like you actually have even the time to reflect on that. So in today's video, first of all, I want to invite you to take some time, obviously, to think about this. And second of all, I will share a couple of important questions with you that I hope you will take in order to sit down and really write down and reflect on the answers. Because if you really want to know what you're passionate about, you need to spend some time to obviously think about that. So you need to create a little bit of space. And second of all, I think it is incredibly important that you're not just trying to do this exercise and these questions in your head, but you're actually really taking the time to write on paper. This is a really powerful exercise, and my clients that I'm working with tell me this over and over and over again, how powerful it is to actually do this exercise in written form, because oftentimes secrets are revealed, thoughts are coming up that you haven't or that you wouldn't have really thought of otherwise. All right, so I would say let's jump into the first question. The first question is, in which part of your job or area in your life have you felt the happiest in the past? This is a really important question because it will give you a lot of insight into what you actually enjoy doing. You can, for example, think about different roles that you were having at your company or different jobs that you had at different companies, and think about what were the roles that you felt the most happiest at, and then also go into the parts of, even if maybe not the whole role made you happy, go into the role and ask yourself, what part of that role actually really excited me? What was I really good at? What was I really enjoying to do? Okay, so that is the first important question that you can ask yourself. Once you have answered that question for yourself, take a moment to just reflect back. For example, maybe you have used 2 or 3 different roles or jobs that you had in the past in order to identify the things that you enjoyed most in these different jobs or roles. And now I want you to take some time to actually circle the things that are reoccurring. So maybe you already start to see a trend of things that you are doing in each job that are actually making you really happy. And that can be a really good indication of what you are actually really passionate about, because oftentimes what we're really good at and what we like to do or what we're really passionate about is somewhat interlinked, okay? And sometimes it is also a process, and I will talk a little bit about this in the next step after we talked about these different questions, but just bear with me here for a moment. The next question that I'd like you to answer is the question, what are you not really good at? What do you feel like scares you, or what makes you feel really uncomfortable? Those are also really important questions to ask yourself, because they will give you an indication of maybe what are you currently avoiding, because sometimes the hidden treasures of our actual passion are lying in the things that we are uncomfortable with. Let me explain. I was, for example, a person that always said I am absolutely not a creative person, because I was working as a project and program manager at a big tech corporate company, and I just didn't have at all the space within my role to be creative. And I was always associating creativity with drawing and painting and things like that, okay? And in the process of searching for my passion and searching for what I'm really good at, I actually tried out a lot of different things. I signed up for different courses, I started 2 different companies, and in the process I realized, wow, I'm actually really good at being creative, and I have not really have this part of my job at the moment, and that's really missing for me, okay? And so over the course of a few months and even years, I realized I really love to be creative, and there's actually a YouTube video on my YouTube channel about how to kind of follow that creative process, which you can absolutely do for this exercise as well, to see what is actually igniting your fire? What are you passionate about? What would you like to do in the future that brings more joy and more happiness to your life while also being successful? So I hope that this is really clear, right? So you have 2 answers now. You have answers to the first question around what are you most excited about or really good at? And number 2, what are you a little bit more uncomfortable with? What scares you? Because again, sometimes those kind of insights can also help you to just open yourself up, open your mind up to being a little bit more open to trying new things, or to realizing, hey, maybe the thing that I have been avoiding, that will actually bring me to my happy place. That will help me find what I'm passionate about. Because yeah, I think we are all human beings and we like to stay in our comfort zone, but I truly believe that only once you get out of your comfort zone will you actually maybe find what you're really, really good at. Okay, so we talked about a couple of these important questions that you can ask yourself, and I want you to really observe yourself. I want you to see, what are you really excited about? Like where do you spend a lot of time writing on because you're like, oh yeah, these are all the things that I'm really good at. And then I also want you to observe yourself to see what really makes you have a little sparkle in your eye and really makes you maybe have butterflies in your stomach, because maybe it makes you uncomfortably excited because you're like, yes, I've always wanted to try this out, but I feel like I've never had time for this, right? There's all of these cool, great excuses that we're coming up with. So now that you have maybe a couple of answers, first insights into what you could potentially be passionate about, then I want you, in step number 2, ask yourself the question, okay, how can I start experimenting more? Because here's the thing, you might not find the answer to what you're super passionate about right away. It is a process. It is a process of really finding out what really makes you feel super happy, what makes your heart beat faster, right? And so I really invite you to start experimenting with a couple of different things that might have come out of these first answers, right? And I think oftentimes, here's kind of my own experience, people have a hard time to find what they're really excited about because they don't have space. They don't really have space and time to really sit down and think about these things. So in order to really have maybe your intuition a little bit come in, you need to create space, and you need to make sure that you're managing your stress levels, that you might have very high stress levels at the moment. And if you want to know obviously about how to manage stress, there's a ton of different videos on my YouTube channel that I'm inviting you to check out, because I think we underestimate the power of stress and what it does to us physically and mentally and emotionally. And if you feel kind of overwhelmed and overstretched and maybe even a little desperate, then maybe you're experiencing too much stress at the moment and you should take care of that. So anyway, so we're talking about, in step number 2, experimentation. So I want you to create space on a weekly basis to experiment with the things that just have this little tickle for you at the moment, right? Maybe you think, oh, this sounds really interesting. I don't know where this is going to lead me, but I'm just going to try it out. This is exactly what I did over the last couple of years in order to get to the point where I am today. And I didn't always know what outcome is coming out of the course that I was taking or the certifications that I was taking. I just followed my instincts, my intuition, and I just followed what I was interested in at the time. And beautifully enough, now I'm really combining everything that I learned over the last couple of years in the role and the job that I'm doing today, right, which is running my own business. And it's really beautiful, honestly, to see how it all came together because, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, I did, for example, a yoga teacher training certification, or 8 or 9 years ago, I did a diploma in sports psychology, and I didn't really know how they were related at all, right? I was just like, this is really interesting to me right now, and I'm just going to go with it. And that's who you are. That's, you know, and sometimes it is a process. And, you know, if you would have asked me maybe 6, 7 years ago what I'm passionate about, I couldn't have maybe really answered that question. And now I'm very confident about what I'm passionate about. And it took me a couple of years to really find that passion. So be patient in the process. It might take a little bit of time. And finally, I just want you to really trust this process. Be patient with yourself. Love the question. Make sure that you are just investing more time in yourself. So finding your passion is not a single straight answer that you will find just from watching this video today. It is something that you have to invest a little bit of time and experimentation in, okay? So if you have any questions for me, if you want to know more about my own process, for example, or if you want to dive deeper into the question of what I'm passionate about, you can obviously always reach out to me as well, or leave me a comment down below here this video. And I'm super happy and excited already to chat with you about all of these different questions. So I hope you take care of yourself, and I talk to you really soon.